All right, welcome everyone. We are here for the 25th BizPitch competition of University of Minnesota students. So we're excited to have 7 students with us today that are a subset of the group that were 42, a record number of 42 submissions for this competition. We have been doing this since 2005 was the first year that we started the competition, and back when Patrick Delaney and some other folks from the Entrepreneurship Club helped put together an initial competition. You can see people actually dressed up in suits a little more often back then, and we had large competitions in the 3M auditorium, and even had some events outside a few years ago out in front of Kauffman. But we've done 25 of these, and I think as you see the pictures in these, you know, a lot of successful entrepreneurs kind of took their first step getting involved in a competition where they, you know, threw a simple idea out there, got some feedback, in some cases got a little bit of funding, in a lot of cases got connected with judges or mentors or attorneys or investors that help them move forward with their ideas. So whether it's Swannies or Perk Health or Hydrate or Foodsby or Park Pooler, you can go down the list. A lot of students really got their initial, you know, one of their initial steps participating in this, and hopefully we'll have the first step for a number of students today as they go forward with their competition. So welcome everybody to the 25th BizPitch. We have a group of judges joining us that include 3 entrepreneurs and founders of businesses. We've also got a student governess who's one of the partners in Atlan Ventures, which is the student-run venture fund here run out of the University of Minnesota. Ernest Grumbles has been a judge for a number of years and is a founding partner of his own law firm where he works on intellectual property and supports a lot of startup companies. We've got one of our judges, welcome back, Mohammed Abdurrahman, who's not only a 3-time founder, but a past BizPitch winner. So we can maybe get some more detail out of him as we go through later. But we've got some judges that have a range of experience, from consumer products to technology to manufacturing to early stage ventures, and helping a wide range of companies out. So they'll be asking 2 or 3 questions after each of the students gives their 90-second pitch, and we will have 7 students going forward with their presentations. We have a really fun mix, and we encourage students, you know, not only to move forward with ideas that they had been working on, but also address some of the current challenges going on with the health and economic situation that we're facing. So I think we've got some fun ideas and some pretty cool ideas in terms of how the students not only want to build a successful business, but also making, you know, a positive impact in the community. So we're looking forward to this. I think that's all the setup that we need to do. At the end of this, everybody in attendance, if you're listening, you won't be able to speak, but you will be able to submit Q&A questions, and we will try and incorporate those. And also at the end of the 7 presentations, we'll invite everyone for a quick poll so they can vote and select the People's Choice winner, who will win $100. There will also be prizes selected by the judges for the most innovative or creative idea, and also for the most socially impactful. And the winner, based on the points that the judges award, will receive $1,000 and be the BizPitch winner for this semester. So welcome. We're going to jump into it now. If we can stop sharing the screen, we're going to invite our first presenter, who is Morgan Kerfeld. If we can turn Morgan on here. So Morgan is a junior from North Oaks, Minnesota, and she's going to tell you about her idea for a company called Shaco Search.
Hi, my name is Morgan Kerfeld, and I'm developing Shaco Search, a tailor-made job connection platform that matches young adults in Somalia to employment opportunities. Currently, greater than 65% of young adults in Somalia identify as unemployed. Now, this high unemployment rate is not due to a lack of available jobs, but rather the absence of a centralized and accessible hiring platform and reliance of employers on hiring solely through clan and family ties. These word-of-mouth hiring practices result in employment opportunities being concentrated within clans, depriving many young adults the ability to gain employment. In addition to the challenges for young adults, employers are facing quality of labor and employee accountability issues due to candidate skills being unclear and unverified during the hiring process. These challenges are why for the last 8 months, I've been partnering with Alight, a global refugee support organization working in Somalia. For weekly Skype meetings and over 80 customer research interviews, I developed Shaco Search, a tailor-made job connection platform that matches young adults to employers. It's kind of like Tinder for East African young adult employment, with Shaco Search using profiles from both parties and artificial intelligence in order to make employment matches. Shaco Search has a bright future. Upon successful implementation in Somalia, Alight hopes to expand its services to other African countries it has headquarters in. The expansion of Shaco Search will have potential impacts of increasing the young adult employment rate and improving quality of labor and employee accountability, not only in Somalia, but across the continent. With Alight's experience supporting refugees worldwide and my experience running a successful NGO, Shaco Search has the potential to change the lives of East African young adults by putting their talents to work. Thank you.
All right, nice job, Morgan. So we'll open it up for questions from the judges.
I think Jim's muted. I guess I'll start. Morgan, thank you very much for that presentation. I'm curious, how does, obviously you're working remotely and some of this is probably a big feature would be just verification of what people are saying from a resume process. How do you verify? Obviously there's a lot of moving parts and kind of bringing all this together. So what's kind of your approach to that?
Yeah, so Alight has a returning support center in Kismayo, and I have a team for Shaco Search at that support center. So they're working face-to-face with young adults and employers in the community, and then telling me what they're saying, and I'm using that to iterate the service and then going back and forth.
Got it.
How are you making them aware of your services?
Definitely, yeah. So a very common form of marketing in Somalia is through leaflet announcements. So just putting up posters around the community. In addition, they do a lot of radio and print ads, which we are starting to get into the cycle starting in July when we launch our pilot. And then finally, just through advertisements through the web. So smartphones are very common. 8 out of 10 young adults in Somalia have a smartphone. So sending out mass texts and then also having email blasts will be successful as well.
How are you planning on making money?
Yeah, so there's a service premium fee that employers will pay in order to utilize the service. And currently the idea is that it'll be about 10% of what they're paying employees. Also, we'll be offering value-added coaching at the support center, offering young adults the ability to take classes on getting resume help and then also interview skills that they can pay a small fee for.
Do you see this as pretty transferable from country to country? I mean, are there things that you have to worry about? Obviously Somalia and that culture probably works in a certain way. Does that change rapidly across Africa? And do you have kind of a sense of, okay, what's step 2, what's step 3?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I've had conversations with different country directors from Alight who have headquarters in other countries. And they've said a lot of the stakeholder needs are about the same from country to country. One thing we will have to adopt for is any language differences. So currently Shaco Search is being created in English and Somali. Obviously, if we are expanding to other countries, we will have to find language partners in order to help translate all the services.
Can you speak to some of the employers can you explain your experience with speaking with some of the employers, and have you made any money getting started?
Yeah, so the employers we've been talking to have mainly either been, they fall into 3 categories. So they either are community members who have more day jobs, so like needing help carrying water or like painting a house. And then the second category are those who have more like retail stores. So they're looking for people to come in and help with a restaurant or clothing store. And the final group are going to be those large organizations like NGOs who are looking for people who have more formal employment opportunities. Talked to employers from all 3 categories, and a lot of their needs are the same. It's just the way that they are like paying for employees that would change. We have not launched yet, so no revenue has been made, but the interviews that we've had have confirmed that employers would be willing to pay the premium.
And can you remind us how much the premium was?
Yeah, so 10% of whatever they're paying for the employee. And then if a employer is only doing using the service to get like a day laborer, they'll only have to pay the service premium fee for the first day labor, and then they get to use the service for the next 5 employment matches. But then for full time, it'll just be 10%.
All right. Well, great job answering the questions succinctly. So we let you go with a few more questions because you were so tight in terms of answering them in a short manner. Awesome. Great job, Morgan. We will move on next to Taya Strachan, who's a senior originally from Temecula, California. I think she's here in Minnesota now. We will switch over
still in
the.
Minnesota.
So she's got her idea for a platform for empowering young people and getting them involved in the political process. Go ahead when you're ready.
All right, so hi, I'm Taya. Viz is a civic engagement app that allows constituents to find their local representatives, facilitate open conversations with them, and gain insight into the political system. The platform is designed for young voters and will empower them to make informed voting decisions. Users and politicians will be able to make personalized profiles, allowing them to engage with each other, and politicians will gain insight into what their constituents want from them as representatives, and users gain access to the platform and information necessary to engage and participate in our government. This level of engagement is vital to a thriving democracy, but right now we are watching faith in our political system decline. Young people don't trust the government. The two-party system is divisive and toxic, and our voter turnout is among the lowest of developed countries. However, there is hope as personal investment is increasing. So approximately 70% of millennials and Gen Z say the government should do more to solve our nation's problems. 36% believe that it is very important for them to be personally involved in politics. And 2018 saw the highest youth voter turnout rate since 18-year-olds were given the right to vote. We are soon becoming the largest segment of the global population in history and are already beginning to take action on issues that are interesting to us. Furthermore, voters are not the only ones that are struggling right now in a divisive political environment. Politicians, especially on a smaller local level, struggle to connect with their constituents, gain feedback on their policies, and they know that they need to get better, work faster, and meet people where they are. However, that is increasingly difficult and is only going to worsen in this election cycle due to coronavirus. Viz aims to bridge this gap in order to help young voters and politicians engage and communicate with each other in pursuit of a common vision. Thank you.
Nice job, Taya. We will open it up now for the judges. You can unmute yourself and ask questions.
Hey, Taya, thank you for your pitch. The question that I have is, so how does this app differentiate itself from other means of young voters of getting informed? Like, why would they want to use this app versus just going online and searching it on Google, for example?
Yeah, so in my conversation so far, I've done somewhere between 30 and 40 user interviews, and most people are getting their information from social media or from Google, and I found that it's very hard to find good information, and they don't trust media sources. So right now, obviously, there are a lot of problems in politics, and most people blame money in politics and media sources. So even if they are going to the internet right now, that unbiased and fact-based information they don't feel is available.
And for the app that you wanted to build, do you have the technical experience to bring that to fruition, or would you be outsourcing that talent?
Personally, I don't, but I do have someone I'm talking to right now with a partnership who has a computer science and product design background.
Thank you.
What competitors are there?
There are a lot of different apps out there. I've looked into them, and there's the names are not coming to my mind right now. But for the most part, I think that there's like Ballot Ready and Vote Smart, and they will offer information where people can be matched with a candidate, or they can look up who's in their area. But a lot of problems that I've seen with those are either the design isn't good, so it's not easy to use. People don't like using it. It doesn't look pleasing. Also, a lot of the time, the information that's available is not very in-depth. It's mostly just who they are and what their political party is. And if it is good information, there are also a lot of sites out there that will just take their information down when there's not an election year. And I just don't think that's very useful, because part of the problem right now is people will vote and forget. So you go in and you vote for all the Democrats or all of the Republicans, and then don't follow up. So I really want to give people the opportunity to follow up on the vote and see what people are doing outside of just an election year.
Hi, Taya. How do you grow, and how do you make money? Yeah,
so, oh, someone else said in the Q&A, sorry. Right now, I'm planning on MVP level is going to be just sort of an email list and getting people's information and sending out quality information about politics, probably just in the Twin Cities. And then growing on social media, because that is where a large segment of people get their political information. And then further down the line, partnering with politicians to help get their message out, especially smaller grassroots campaigns. And that's how I would eventually make money, is partnering with politicians and being part of their campaign strategy.
Out of curiosity, can you walk me through just user experience and who qualifies to be kind of on this platform to talk to voters or people? So is it a direct conversation, or is it basically just a fact listing of performance versus what they said they would do? What's kind of your thoughts around the user experience?
Yeah, so it's aimed towards constituents mostly on the front side of operations. So a user would go in, say, like, this is where I live, and these are the issues that I care about. So then they would get something that says, like, you live in this district of Minnesota. These are all of your local representatives, state representatives, and so on. And then here are their stances on the issues that you said you care about. So on a broader note, that would be like education reform, gun control, things like that, all the way down to smaller local issues depending on where you live. And then you would be able to get updates directly from politicians on what they're doing on a day-to-day basis, also sort of like their voting records. So it is kind of half and half. I'm staying away from true social network status. I think that would devolve very quickly in the way that you get into like Facebook arguments over politics, but there is going to be a level of engagement there for people to ask questions, offer their opinions, and also to just like talk to politicians and sort of see behind the curtain, because there isn't a lot of transparency right now on what politicians do on a day-to-day basis.
Great. Nice job, Taya. We got to keep moving on. Nice job on the Q&A. Outstanding. Thanks again. Great job, Taya. We are going to move on to our next participant. So Cole Scadland is joining us from Rockford, Illinois. He's a sophomore and studying mechanical engineering. Welcome, Cole.
Hi, thank you for having me. Can you hear me all right?
Great.
All right. In 2016, Virginia was hit by record flooding, which killed 23 individuals and swept away thousands of homes. But intending to rebuild those homes, my mission trip exhausted nearly 2 weeks and an additional $2,600 in just moving our equipment there. It was completely unnecessary. Now, not all natural disasters, or viruses for that matter, pervade an entire community. We learned later on that the houses just upriver and upstream had all the tools and materials we needed. The need just was never made known. Now, a ventilator powered by weight or water can be used in a country where electricity is scarce. Like a grandfather clock, you just reset the weight about every 10 minutes or so, and it can be improvised with materials costing around $23. But I didn't design such to be mass-produced, but to be replicated. Target Resource Innovation, or Trinovate, limits design constraints to resources of client and community. Inspired by a DIY off-grid ventilator, it is the organizational embodiment of crowdsourcing needs through local resources. Now, COVID-19 sparked means by which volunteers 3D printed protective equipment and made facial masks, but the generosity lacks standardization. Trinovate is a reserve corps of makers, thinkers, builders, and DIYists. They're activated by an alert, directed in standardized construction, and then connected to what local relief needs their help. The Red Cross and Samaritan's Purse are examples of professionals giving time. Trinovate instead organizes the provisions for those professionals from the local community. There's nearly 2.3 million 3D printers across the globe worldwide, and a seemingly infinite supply of tools even in villages. So why must we wait for the resources to traverse the planet before they can help us? Thank you.
Let's open it up for questions.
So you're going to be supplying design ideas, maybe, are these going to be on the fly based on need, or are you going to have kind of a stable inventory of designs and then that you're going to make available online and whatnot?
More or less, I'd like the designs to capitalize upon the models that we are implementing right now due to COVID-19. And so the ventilator was kind of an extreme design that I managed to fashion here in these last 2 weeks. But there's models down in Huntsville and in California where you have universities producing the ventilators and the face masks, and they're producing these for the local hospitals. But as far as the designs per se, you would still have to rely upon brainstorming and people from across the globe. But once those designs can be made known, you standardize them, and then you make that your normalized platform.
I think it's a very cool idea. Are you concerned around, especially because you're dealing in emergency situations, any sort of liability that might come with, like, hey, here's a design, we're promoting it, and we're crowdsourcing materials that are going to possibly not be the exact materials. You're kind of, if you're procuring it from a community, you might have some trouble with the QC on that.
Mm-hmm. So right now, as far as the MVP style would be concerned, I would want to start domestic and then use those designs that have been approved by the FDA. Most notably, you start with something simple like those ventilators, like the masks that have made past the first few phases. More globally speaking, though, I could see growth pioneering into third world countries where then you don't necessarily have to deal with the FDA. And the overall goal of this isn't necessarily to substitute the traditional resources that have been around for years, but they're more so meant to buy time until those resources can become available and actually arrive there.
I have two companies making them right now using their 3D manufacturing machines here in Europe, and they just pull the files off the internet that are readily available. There was it was no issue there whatsoever, pulling in good files and making parts.
Is that a question or sorry?
No, just a comment that I it's already pretty well standardized and the files are readily available.
Mm-hmm. I would say that there are a number of files right now, and then one of the issues that we ran up just locally here, my mother is making these masks, but there's different hospitals that are willing to take different designs, and so even though they're very similar in nature, there's some that are still having limited feedback and the capability to actually turn them in.
Is that an entry point, Cole, just from to your point of a minimum viable product? I just think of, masks versus a ventilator, and the complexity of it. Have you looked into, like, I'm going to just do this with probably the easiest entry point and probably the highest need just from a volume standpoint? I mean, like, for instance, we work with a retailer that is looking for 3 million, masks monthly, right? So just the idea of where are they going to source those, is there something short term that you can do to kind of turn this on and just see if it's worthwhile?
Mm-hmm. To get my feet wet, I like to capitalize upon what the models are in place right now. So starting with at the university level, and there's also 3D printing research labs that have dedicated their resources to, the COVID crisis. What I'd like to do is develop a platform that can maintain that willingness to help and to make sure that communication can be passed seamlessly between whatever relief organization is in need and the actual makers or DIYs, whether that be a university or even at the individual level. But as far as immediacy, I would definitely want to start with the models that are almost functioning right now, but create a platform to maintain it. So that'd be the universities.
Cole, can you explain how this is a sustainable business as opposed to a solution or Band-Aid for when a country or state gets caught with its pants down?
Mm-hmm. So as far as the maintainment of the business, I'd be looking at revenue predominantly through as a humanitarian nonprofit, which would be directly proportional to your media presence. But as you said, demand would definitely fluctuate as far as the need or disasters that are currently going on. But in a state that's as large as ours, I think that there are needs that fluctuate, whether it be as large and critical as COVID-19 or something as small as minute flooding with it, which is what happened in Virginia.
Outstanding job, Cole. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
We're going to move on. Our next speaker. Before we go to Emma, just we are getting some Q&A, and I encourage the participants afterward. We've got some alumni actually around the world. We've got some over in Hong Kong and others engaging, answer some of the questions directly. We don't have time to get to all those, but it's a great way to make connections with some of the alumni network around the world. So please respond to those. Taya, I know you've been monitoring and responding, so continue to do that. Our next speaker that I'm going to spotlight here with the video is Emma Kessler. She's a sophomore in liberal arts, joining us from Wauwatosa, Wisconsin. And she's going to tell us about the future of hammocks in dorm rooms.
Sure am. Ready. All right, cool. All right. So by 2050, it is estimated that 13.4 2 billion tons of plastic will have ended up in landfills or forests and rivers. In Minnesota alone, thousands of tons of plastic are wasted every year. Additionally, college students are facing more stress now than ever before. Outdoor activities like hammocking have been shown to decrease stress and have blown up in popularity in recent times. Unfortunately, especially in Minnesota, cold weather can prevent us from going outside all the time. So what do these problems have in common? They have a common solution: Remock. Remock is a line of customizable hammocks made from recycled materials. Plastics that would have ended up in landfills are processed into fabrics that are used to make hammocks. What makes Remock unique is that it is made out of recycled material and its customizability. Through the special order option on our website, customers can choose a variety of things that they want added to their hammocks, such as pattern, color, pockets, charging stations, and more. Though primarily for indoor use, Remock's customizability feature includes the option to make it more suited for the outdoors, such as with waterproofing treatment and attachments that make it easier to attach to trees versus a dorm bed or a ceiling. Remock provides decor that is personalized, fun, and environmentally conscious. Remock will partner with Reprieve, a company that manufactures fabric from recycled plastic that would have ended up in refills. Remock will primarily be sold online. However, it can also be sold through small retailers to gain recognition within the community. We aim to reach consumers on college campuses primarily through campus reps and possibly by selling through U of M bookstores, for example. Remock is created and organized by students with a wide range of backgrounds and capabilities. This will make sure that Remock can adapt and change according to the tastes and markets that are popular at the time. While we are currently in the bootstrapping phase, we are exploring options for student-founded businesses to help Remock reach its full potential. Thank you.
Great. Let's open it up for questions. Nice job, Emma.
Thank you.
Hey, Emma, I just have a quick question. So do you know how durable these new hammocks would be in comparison versus the regular? Would the consumers be compromising in terms of quality or long-term usage by using these reusable versions?
We don't have a prototype at the time, but according to, Reprieve, the company that would be making the fabrics, is really well known for making a lot of really high-end athletic wear and other types of clothes out of plastic materials. That doesn't seem to have any problems with that kind of thing. So.
Do you have a sense of what the targeted retail for this particular product would be? I know it's customizable and it could fluctuate, but do you have a sense of what that would look like?
By retail, do you mean like
retail price point. So.
Oh, price point.
Suggested retail.
Again, we don't have a prototype or anything like that, so we don't know what size it would be or anything like that. Current recycled hammocks usually go for about $60. We would probably shoot for around there, maybe more, maybe less, depending on what the customizable options that people choose are.
How are you going to differentiate yourself from the other ones out there?
I think that we are differentiable versus from regular hammocks because of our material. We are helping the environment. We're getting rid of plastic that would have ended up in landfills. And then there are other hammocks that are made out of recycled materials, but they do not often have the customizability feature that we would have.
Yeah, and also a number of good questions from online that, Emma, you can address after this. We'll leave you in the group in terms of having a prototype and starting to estimate what the cost would be to produce, and then whether how costly it would be to get something like this up to scale. So you can respond to those directly, but we're going to keep moving along. And our next we've got our freshman coming up. So Weston Wyatt will be our next presenter. Welcome, Weston. You're joining us from Red Wing, Minnesota, and he's going to share his idea for a technology that can help with the current COVID-19 situation.
Absolutely. All right. Hello, my name is Weston Wyatt, and today I'm going to be talking about Bubble, my idea for an app to help with awareness during this Corona time. So clearly we're all affected by this. We're all watching this on Zoom. I'm presenting on Zoom. Like, this isn't ideal. And one of the main problems I've seen with this virus is personal awareness. Like, most people don't know how risky this is for them or their current risk factor, and they also don't know about their loved ones, or maybe if you're a boss, you don't know how well your employees are doing. So Bubble would be an app to track your risk, and it would do that using simple Bluetooth technology. Pretty much every smartphone, well, I think every smartphone uses this Bluetooth technology, And it could also watch over groups. So you could be a group leader and watch over your family or employees. And that would be under the premium feature for this app. And this premium feature is our source of revenue. So we'd hope that employers and or parents would be wanting to check in on their kids or their employees using this premium feature to make sure that everyone is staying up to date and following guidelines and taking care of their personal safety and health. And right now, our biggest competition, if you've been paying attention to the news, is Apple and Google. They've kind of tag teamed, so I guess that does show this is a pretty big and serious problem. But I think what separates us from Google is we have no history of violating personal privacy. A lot of people are concerned with this Google and Apple tag team about their personal privacy. And along with that is it might take them a while to get up to market, and we could implement this much faster because we don't have to go through a lot of red tape like they do. So that's everything I've got for you today. Thank you.
All right, nice job, Weston. Let's open it up for questions.
So for this app, is the premise of it supposed to be just like an awareness, like an education-based app, or is it supposed to provide notifications when somebody is breaking the recommendations?
Yeah, so I'll touch on that a little more. I didn't want to cover it in my time because it might have taken a little longer. You know, smartphones, you've got your Bluetooth, and our goal is to, you enter your phone number into this, and you have your contacts in there as well, and like you can mark off a list of people that you can okay, because if you're around your family, you don't want them to alert the app or alarm the app. So what happens is when you come into contact with a person who's not on your okay list, you get a notification, and this notification alerts you anytime you're within contact of a new person, and it also gives you statistics daily on how many new people you've come into contact with.
To set it at 6 feet or 10 feet?
Ideally, we hope to be closer to 10 feet because a lot of the new news articles are talking about how far sneezes can travel, and they keep saying 6 feet. I keep saying 2 meters, but that's because of like all the CSE stuff. I'm not in CSE, but the science and engineering, they like to use meters, but a lot of the news articles are saying get up to maybe 10 feet or 12 feet even. So that would be the ideal distance, yes.
No, the thing, how accurate is the Bluetooth to be able to say it's 2 meters or 10 feet?
Oh, okay. Bluetooth can extend within 30 feet, and all you have to do is measure it by the strength of the connection.
But what if somebody doesn't have a device? Like, how are you, if you come into contact with somebody that doesn't have a phone on them, that doesn't have Bluetooth? I mean, does that get tracked? How does that work?
Okay, yeah. I realized that could have been one of the issues with this. And to that, I'd like to say, like, most people who don't own a smartphone would likely not be in a risky demographic or within the type of distance that would be harmful. So I think this is more made for urbanized areas and places where people do own these smartphones and do have, a smartphone with Bluetooth capabilities, if that makes sense and answers your question.
Have you spoken to prospective customers, especially business customers?
So far, I haven't done any of that yet. This has been just, a bit of my brainchild at work. This whole process is about getting that part going.
And do you have something that remotely works? Do you have something kind of started?
I've talked to a few of my buddies at the College of Science and Engineering. I'm actually a Carlson student, and these guys, they know Swift, they know Kotlin like it's nothing, and we haven't started on it yet, but I'm hoping if I were to get some funding from this, I'd be able to convince them, like, no matter how good of friends you are with them, they don't like to code for free. So
nobody likes to code for free.
Yeah, exactly. So my goal to be, to hopefully with a bit of funding, see if we can get this going and see if it's something that is practical and useful.
All right, nice job, Weston. We got to keep moving along. Our next speaker popping up here from Lancaster, Pennsylvania. We have Courtney Ritchie, who's a junior studying entrepreneurship. She's going to tell us about her project to feed 10,000 people here in Minnesota.
Thank you, John.
For our team, what began as a mere idea pivoted to a real mission within 5 short days. Create Land of 10,000 Meals is a social outreach collaboration by 5 University of Minnesota students and startup restaurant Avocadish. We aim to donate 10,000 meals to the Twin Cities community affected by COVID-19 through volunteers, accessible natural ingredients, and underutilized commercial kitchen space. So far, we've provided 516 plant-based meals to 109 families over the last month. Many families include single parents and the elderly or immunocompromised. We've also created 273 purposeful hours for 35 volunteers, and many comment on the joy with their volunteering opportunity. Volunteers and impacted families can book appointments online in less than 1 minute. On a delivery day, prep volunteers operate out of a co-working space in North Minneapolis, then delivery volunteers pick up and receive family clusters on Google Maps, providing contactless deliveries for families. Most recently, we delivered 150 meals to 40 families, all within a 90-minute window yesterday. We have received just over $2,000 in donations and currently have funding for our next 250 meals. We leverage nutritious but also highly accessible ingredients, and our total cost per delivered meal is under $2.50. Our team stretches across 3 time zones but makes a tremendous impact right in the local community. Next week, we look to double our meal production and experiences by collaborating with Chefs Feed Our Frontline. We hope our mission not only feeds families and healthcare workers, but continues to inspire purpose and perpetual kindness throughout our community. Thank you.
Great, nice job, Courtney. Let's open it up for questions.
So you already are obviously off and running and have served meals. What is your biggest challenge today?
I think yeah, absolutely. I mean, the beginning was getting the operation down sound. The first time we had 90 meals happen and only 19 families, and to see yesterday's progress, but now it's a little bit of the constraint of the commercial kitchen space. While the co-working space is larger, with more funding, we'd be able to get a larger space to be able to properly social distance people, as the CDC constraints as well of not having people too close together in one space. So really the space is our largest battle right now.
What's the future look like for this post-COVID? So 2022, what are you guys doing?
Absolutely. Well, right now our goal is 10,000, but we'd love to add a 0 to it. This is not something that we want to just end as COVID ends. This is something we want to take forward. And now that we have our processes streamlined, we'd love for this to become a local opportunity for people. I know we also just talked to a homeless shelter that's located in a church that throughout the weekends, they don't have chefs. And so there's a lot of opportunities where people are not having meals. And this is something that could fill that need as well past COVID. It's just that the need is so great right now that we're trying to impact as many of those people as possible.
How are you planning to make this sustainable?
Sustainable. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, how sustainable is this long term?
Yeah. Well, now that we have a team of volunteers that are really dedicated, that's been the biggest part. We've had a lot of repeat volunteership, and the fact that our processes are so streamlined has really helped us to make this something that's accessible and sustainable in the way that we're not learning anymore. We've got this process down. We've seen a lot of other delivery services like the Chefs Feed Our Frontline that we're going to be connecting with to do the delivery. So we even could minimize how many volunteers we'd need to be able to churn out the meals, as the delivery could be helped by another process. So the sustainability long-term has a lot of opportunity partnering with other groups.
So this is a nonprofit.
Correct.
And a question coming in from online around, in terms of the constraints, how much capital do you need to achieve your short-term goals?
Absolutely. So like I said, the meal being under $250, we're literally right at $249. That includes the commercial kitchen space, which currently is being sponsored by the University of Minnesota, which has been helpful, absolutely. But the supplies, including the masks that we provide, different cleaning sources, and the food, it's looking to be about $20,000 in total to be able to do this.
All right, great feedback. We're going to keep moving along. Nice job, Courtney.
Thank you.
We have our final presenter, Sayuj Suresh, is a freshman in the College of Liberal Arts, most likely heading over to College Biological Sciences based on his interests and studies. He's originally from Chennai, India, but is joining us here from the suburbs of the Twin Cities. Welcome. Let's wrap this up for whenever you're ready.
Yeah, thank you. Hi, my name is Sayuj and I'm the co-founder of Vibrance Biomedical. We believe we can make screening for diabetes simply better. Growing up in India, it was common to see many of my family members being diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. A failure to diagnose at an early stage leads to many complications which can impact the quality of life, individual healthcare cost, and sometimes lead to premature death. Seeing my grandpa suffer from this every day, I thought there's got to be a better way to do this. By interviewing people, I found that the fear of clinical setting and its associated cost is pushing back people from not getting tested early. So I came up with this idea of an at-home tester that can diagnose both pre-diabetes and diabetes using saliva. Currently, I'm a freshman with nearly 2 years of research experience, and I've been working on this tester for more than 3 years now. As of now, we expect our production cost to be only 2 cents, which is 100 times less than the current solution, and we still have a great margin. Our mission is to sell directly to consumers via over the counter. Recently, we secured our initial funding from a very successful entrepreneur in the Twin Cities area. With your capital and our business model, we can help hundreds of millions of people like my grandpa to lead a long, happy life.
Terrific. Nice job, Suraj. Let's open it up for questions.
Does it work?
So just recent, yeah, that's a good question. Yeah. So I have it written in, I have like on paper, like how to do it and everything. And we just raised money from our angel investors so that we could do the experiment in a house. We are like setting up a lab in a house and doing like research and building the product in the summer. And I have a co-founder who is a PhD in biochemistry, and we are working together.
Are you aware of cricket?
What's that?
Oh,
Yep. In Australia, right? Yeah. So we are very different from what they do. They are like an they're like a digital glucometer where you put the saliva and you measure the glucose level. But the thing is, the salivary glucose level and blood glucose level doesn't correlate really well. And that's the reason why they started their company like more than a decade ago, and they don't have the product out there. But we are instead doing a color readout, and so we are just using like pre-diabetes and diabetes. So we don't have to give exact numbers. We need to just give a color if you have pre-diabetes or diabetes, and we can be accurate.
A quick question, and correct me if I'm wrong. You said that when your product eventually goes to market, it will be selling for 2 cents. Did I get that?
No, our production cost is 2 cents.
Oh, production cost is 2 cents. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
And just for clarity, this is something to tell someone if they have diabetes, not to help them manage diabetes.
Yep. It's for diagnosis. Our main focus is diagnosing at the early stage as possible with at-home testing.
Why would people use this product? Do you think that anyone would be worried about like the reliability and trustworthiness of using this product versus actually going to a certified doctor to figure out the diagnoses?
Yep. That's a really good question. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I've observed my family members being diagnosed at a very late stage of diabetes. And the reason they didn't diagnose at an early stage is because they have this fear of going to a clinical setting. Like I have this fear of clinical setting, and they have this too, and they were worried about the cost it would have. So they tried to like push their diagnosis later. They went to a doctor only when their symptoms affect their like everyday life. Like let's say, like I see cloudy urine in my today, and I Google it, and it says like I might have type 2 diabetes, but it doesn't impact my life now. Like it's just a cloudy urine, it doesn't impact my life. But let's say I want to diagnose it, like I want to just check it. What I could do is just buy it from online, like Amazon, get shipped it in my house and test it in my house. And it's non-invasive too. We use just saliva, no pain, anything.
What's the path to market? What's the plan around that? The investor chose to invest. There must be a path.
Yep. So right now, our primary goal is to build a product and get intellectual property around it. And after that,
Lost the connection.
Sorry, what? Okay. So
You're good.
what
Go ahead.
what our goal is. So I want to do India as my primary market because so I did a market analysis for India, and the market size is like 110 million people, and I want to do in India, but our investors said that we could probably try the United States market first. We're still thinking about it, but I want to do India first. Yeah.
Great job. That wraps up. We've got the overall scores. Sharada is going to summarize those. So the judges are going to go off to a quiet chat where there'll be no discussion, and we will look at the other prizes. Sharada, in the meantime, is going to poll everybody who's online and pick the overall crowd favorite. And in 3 minutes, we will be back to announce the overall winner and the 3 other prizes.
Okay, so I'm gonna start the poll, and this is for the People's Choice Award. So I launched that, so then you guys should be able to vote on there.
All right, welcome back. Can everyone see the screen of the finalists there now? And can you hear me? All right.
Yep.
So we've got the People's Choice polling looks like a dead heat. Have we shared that one yet or no?
Not yet, but I can
Okay.
do that right now.
Well, we can hang on to that one. We'll just go through. So we'll just go through just for a couple moments and then announce the overall winner, and then the other prizes. So I want to remind all the participants, you've got about 11 hours to enter the Minnesota Cup. We've also got the Home Center is part of the Launch Minnesota program. So there's some online classes that are launching next week led by Carla Pavone and some of the other instructors. And we've got webinars starting next week. So lots of activity that has quickly shifted online. So take advantage of those. Again, the Cup is due at midnight tonight. So hopefully all the participants from this competition and the 34 others that entered will be entering that. We want a quick shout out for a number of the supporters, some of the judges here, but also some of our longtime supporters that have helped fund these type of activities. So really appreciate that help that puts some important seed capital in the realm of the students so they can get moving with these ideas and make them real. So without further ado, we're going to flash up all of the winners. Congratulations to each of the participants. I mean, it was really fun to get to talk with you over the past week and give you some feedback on your ideas. I think lots of good suggestions from all the alumni and other supporters and judges on the call. We really encourage you to continue to take these forward, and really cool also to see the impact you're having from these businesses and how much they help address really important needs as well as creating good business opportunities. But with no further ado, we're going to spring it to the winners. The grand prize winner overall with a score of 92 is the Land of 10,000 Meals with Courtney. The most innovative selection was Sayaj with Vibrance Biomedical and the diabetes diagnostic. Most socially impactful and the strongest pitch score was from Morgan Kerfield with Shaco Search. And then I'm still looking at the People's Choice Awards. We had two very strong candidates that tied with that. So we will each of those will get an additional $100 overall. So the grand prize is $1,000, and each of the other prizes are $100. And we hope that that's some funding to take things forward. So what's that, about 400 meals or something like that you'll be able to fund. So hopefully that'll fund next week's meal production for a lot of people, and again, encourage each of these ideas to go forward. Huge shout out and thank you again for all the judges for taking the time and their feedback. I will share all the information, the contact information for the judges, and encourage the students. Usually at this time, we spend about 45 minutes in the room with the students, mixing with the judges and developing a lot of mentoring relationships and peer relationships amongst the students. We won't be able to do that right now, but we'll share that contact information and really encourage you to reach out and follow up with everybody else. So with that, it's a wrap. Our first, it's a little strange to be doing this online. You feel like we should be coming together and celebrating and really applauding all the students. But congratulations to everybody for their efforts. Really cool ideas. Push forward with those. Take advantage of the network that you're starting to build here. Continue on through the Minnesota Cup. Continue on through the classes that are available at the school and the other programs through the home center. Congratulations once again, and stay safe out there, and hopefully enjoy a little bit warmer of a weekend here in Minnesota.